Today, I'm going to share a story so horrible it defies belief. The story takes place in the quiet city of Sussex. In August 2016, tragedy struck as the promising life of 19-year-old Shayna was cruelly snatched away from her. Her demise not only left a gaping hole in the heart of her family and friends, but it also left the Sussex police with a smear to their reputation that to this day they've yet to overcome. Shayna's death left a lot of questions to be answered, which is why even Netflix had to leave out some worrisome details. But in this video, we will uncover all the jaw-dropping secrets that surround the death of Shayna and how the entire Sussex Police Department was culpable. But first, before we get into Shayna's story, if you're a fan of true crime mysteries delivered in compelling story format, then you've come to the right place, because that's all we do. And we upload 2 to 3 times a week. So if that's of interest to you, please unpair all of the Bluetooth devices connected to the like button's phone. Also, please subscribe to our channel and turn on all notifications so you don't miss any of our weekly uploads. Okay, let's get into our story. Shayna's roots were firmly planted in Sussex, and by all accounts, she had a loving and supportive family. In 2015, she wanted to be independent from her family and decided to venture out on her own. Shayna moved into an apartment close to Brighton Fire Alarm, where she had just been hired as a receptionist. It was supposed to be the best time in her life, as she had just finished her high school exams, and she planned to save money for she and her boyfriend to have their dream wedding and start their lives together. Yet fate had other more sinister and unexpected plans in store. One of Shayna's co-workers by the name of Michael Lane, who worked as a mechanic in the same fire alarm company, developed an interest in her. Michael, not being a man to take no for an answer, approached Shayna on many occasions to convey his feelings to her. More on that later. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Remember Shayna's original plan and reason of working at Brighton Fire Alarm? That's right, it was twofold: to get some independence from living at home and to save up for her wedding. So with her newly independent lifestyle in mind, she eventually gave in to Michael's advances and agreed to go out with him just once. That one time turned into a few dates. What could go wrong? They agreed, since she was going to get married, that it would just be a little fling, and that decision would alter the course of her life forever. The thrill of having Michael's attention focused solely on her, coupled with fun nights out and cute little gifts being given to her, was exhilarating for Shayna. After a couple of months, she realized she had to put a stop to their fling. After all, she was engaged to be married and loved her fiancé. But Michael Lane wouldn't let go so easily. When she told him Michael it was over, Shayna thought nothing of it, since people get together and break up all the time. However, as time passed, it dawned on her that she had been mistaken, and dating Michael Lane was turning out to be the single greatest mistake of her life. Michael Lane began stalking Shayna in subtle ways. While annoying and inconvenient, they had no real impact on Lana. The subtlety quickly deteriorated, and the stalking became life-threatening almost overnight. On the 8th of February 2016, Shayna walked into the Sussex police station to file a formal complaint that Michael Lane was stalking and threatening her, and he had also delivered an unwanted bouquet to her on her birthday. But there was something eerie about the flowers she just couldn't put her finger on. Shayna saw right through the facade and recognized the ill intent behind Lane's gift. She knew he could become dangerous if she allowed it to continue. Also, while at the station, Shayna went on to report to police that someone had slashed her tires and ruined her car's paint job. The perpetrator didn't stop there. Whoever it was went on to scribble obscenities all over her car. They even wrote a note and they stuck it on her windshield. The note was addressed to Ashley Cook, Shayna's fiancé. It stated that Shayna had cheated on him before, and she would most certainly do it again. At this point, a second grader could figure out who had most likely committed this act of vandalism. The writings on the car note and car pointed at one person, Michael Lane. The police cited a lack of evidence and dismissed Shayna. On the 24th of March 2016, Shayna agreed to meet with Michael Lane to discuss their breakup, but Lane had other plans. When he attempted to snatch her cell phone, Shayna protested and moved it away from him. This made Lane angry, and he attacked Shayna. He slapped her and pulled her hair. Thankfully for Shayna, she was able to get away with just a headache and a bruise. She went to the Sussex Police Department again, and this time they took action. They quickly arrested Michael Lane for the assault. During Michael Lane's interrogation, he claimed their relationship was real, and that there had to have been some sort of misunderstanding. He volunteered to share some cherry-picked text messages that seemed to validate his story about their relationship status. After seeing this, Michael Lane was released by police without being charged for his assault. From their point of view, it was a love affair gone wrong, or a really complex one. But even at that, they were not going to let Shayna off the hook easily. The police were angry with Shayna and believed she had wasted their time by not telling the truth when she had filed her complaint. For wasting their time, the Sussex Police Department fined her a €90, about $95. But what the police didn't know, or were not willing to find out, was that the relationship was supposed to be a short fling. After receiving the fine, Shayna was scared to make any more reports, but the stalking did not stop. It intensified. On the 9th of July 2016, Lane used a key he had stolen during their fling to let himself into her home. Shayna, who was taking a nap when Lane walked into a bedroom. She must have felt his eyes on her as he stood silently watching her for some time. What else could Michael Lane do? What else did he do? The next day, Shayna received about 7 phone calls from a number that she had once blocked. Some of the calls were threats, while others were just heavy breathing, and Shayna was scared to her core. How could a blocked number have been unblocked on her phone? Michael Lane, but how? Also around that same time, Michael Lane installed a tracker underneath Grace's car with a magnet. His GPS notified anytime Shayna went anywhere. He put so much effort into tracking her that he had to change the GPS battery just over every 7 days. Although Shayna never discovered the tracker, she did notice Lane's car every time she looked at the rearview mirror. Not only that, but Michael Lane was magically turning up everywhere she went. These places included the pubs and nightclubs where she would meet friends. On the 12th of July 2016, when Lane wouldn't allow Shayna any breathing room, she filed another complaint. In that complaint, Shayna stated that Michael Lane was following her everywhere and begged the police to help her. But her pleas for help fell on deaf ears. The Sussex police classified the case as low risk and made no concerted efforts to find the culprit who was making life difficult for Shayna. Barely 3 weeks later, precisely on the 4th of August 2016, Shayna saw Michael Lane lingering outside her apartment. At this point, she confided in her friend Joanne Pumphrey that she was scared that the police wouldn't believe her and might even give her another fine like they did when they accused her of wasting their time. If only the police had known what would happen, perhaps they would have given Shayna's complaints the attention and priority they deserved. Around 7:30 in the morning on Thursday, the 25th of August 2016, and exactly 8 months after the stalking had begun, Michael Lane waited outside Shayna's apartment and watched as her fiancé and her 2 roommates left for work before creeping inside Shayna's home at Chisdory Road, Portslade, East Sussex. He entered slowly, opened the knife drawer in the kitchen, and picked up a knife. Before Shayna realized what was about to happen to her, Lane grabbed her and slit her throat, in an attempt to destroy any evidence left behind and cover his trail. Thankfully for investigators and Shayna's family alike, the fire wasn't strong enough to do any real damage. Shayna's body was found later that day by Ashley Cook's father. He immediately called the police and paramedics, but unfortunately, there was nothing they could do to save Shayna. The investigation commenced, and the statement taken from Shayna's friends and family all pointed to Michael Lane. Their testimony was credible. After all, the police had an open domestic violence case involving the suspect and deceased. It was the very one they had refused to work. On the 25th of August 2016, the same day Shayna's life was snatched cruelly, Michael Lane was arrested. At first, he denied being in Shayna's neighborhood.
So at about 9:45 yesterday morning, Shayna Grice was found dead in her bedroom. Tell me what happened to her.
But after intense questioning, he confessed to having indeed been at Shayna's apartment to talk their issue over, but he left quickly when he saw her lifeless body.
Walked around there, the door was open. The front door was open.
Wide open or unlocked?
No, it was open. No, it wasn't wide open, but it was like half open. So I went in there. Her bedroom door was open, half open again, and she was on the floor.
When asked why he refused to call the police or 911 to rescue the woman he used to love and had become obsessed with, he said he didn't want to be implicated. Lane kept up a straight face while he lied. What Lane didn't know as he kept his act up was that he had been seen loitering around Shayna's house that morning. In addition, Lane was captured at a supermarket buying cans of petrol. He bought the cans of fuel to burn her body and hide valuable evidence. The information that finally proved to be damning was when Lane visited a cash machine after killing Shayna and used her credit card to withdraw 60 pounds from her bank account. Also, in the course of the investigation, it came to light that Shayna was not the first girl Lane had stalked and posed a threat to. In total, Lane had harassed 12 young girls between 2006 and 2016. In March 2017, when Michael Lane was in police custody, he gave a partial confession. While he admitted to stalking Shayna, he vehemently denied any involvement in her murder. During the 2-week-long trial, some hidden information came to light. For example, Shayna continued to see Lane even after she filed complaints to the police. But the prosecuting judge, Sir Nicholas Green, referencing Stockholm Syndrome, noted that while Shayna attracted to Lane, she was also psychologically manipulated away from recognizing the clear and ever-present danger posed by Michael Lane. The judge thought she was young and naive and didn't know how to deal with a complicated relationship like the one she had found herself in. And even more sadly, when she tried to seek help from the police, the one establishment she felt could protect and save her from her poorly carried out decisions, she was let down until the very end. The judge was sorry that Michael Lane had robbed Shayna of her life and caused debilitating grief to her family and friends. But more importantly, he was infuriated at the police when he learned from the witnesses that the deceased had written several times to the police and that nothing was done. The judge chastised the police for the substandard job done in the case of Shayna. He told police had they only looked deeper and not been so concerned about giving a fine, they would have known that a girl could be in a relationship with a man and, at some point, also decide to opt out when she no longer felt safe. But unfortunately, the Sussex Police Department thought differently. They felt once you were in a relationship, especially if it was intimate, then you had no right to call it quits, and filing a complaint at the police station for whatever reason was to be considered overreacting. In the end, Michael Lane was found guilty and sentenced to life imprisonment with a minimum term of 25 years. Now, the moment Lane's sentence was passed, a 2-year investigation by the police watchdog, the Independent Office for Police Conduct (IOPC), was set up to look into the series of failings by Sussex police from February to August 2016, when Michael Lane victimized Shayna Grice until her death. After a careful investigation, 6 police officers were recommended for disciplinary action, and 2 officers were to face gross misconduct charges in separate hearings in the month that followed Lane's hearing. Furthermore, 4 others were recommended for misconduct hearings, while 3 of them had already accepted the ruling and received administrative actions and corrective training. Ultimately, the department received 18 recommendations to improve training for officers, dealing with complaints of stalking and harassment in a bid to save other young women like Shayna Grice. No one should have to feel uncomfortable in their home, and absolutely no one deserves to ever be hit. If you or someone you know are victims of domestic violence, please reach out to the National Domestic Violence Hotline. Their number is 800-799-7233. Why do you think Shayna continued to see Lane even when she was scared of him? Do you think she did it out of youthful exuberance or threat from Lane? Let's read your opinion in the comment section below. We do read and respond to every comment. And one more thing, reject mediocrity in your life by treating everyone you meet with dignity and respect. That's it for today. Goodbye. Goodbye.